What's not to like about Marvel missions, right? I was back there just geeking out about being a little kid again, right? Was I alone? Yeah. So next on the stage is Laura Bogusch, VP of Manufacturing Technology with the Boeing Company. A little bit about Laura, VP of Materials and Manufacturing Technology and the leader of their Boeing Research and Technology in South Carolina. I figured most of us probably flew here, right? But who's thought about the intersection between aviation and AR? Here, I saw one hand go up. Here's Laura. Let's bring her to the stage.
Thank you so much, April. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I am excited to share with you how we're using augmented reality in our factories at the Boeing Company as part of our digital factory transformation that we're undergoing right now as we speak. So very excited. We're going to start out, just in case you weren't quite sure what Boeing does, we're going to start out with just a little video to make sure you have a full view of what the company is up to. All right, so hopefully that got you as excited as I get every day knowing that I'm coming into work at a place that makes such amazing products. And some of the things that are important to think about with respect to those products is we do have a bunch of commercial airplanes. You may have flown on one in order to get here. And while they might look similar, there's also some differences. You could see from the video, we've been in business quite a long time. So we celebrated 105 years this year. And so there's various amounts of digital content within our manufacturing processes and even within our designs. And also the size of those airplanes varies quite a bit. So we might have about 60,000 parts in our smallest commercial airplane and 6 million going into the largest one, just to give you a little bit of an idea of sense of scale. And then for our military products or our defense products, we have a lot of variation from product to product. Each one has a very unique mission that it's going to be meeting, and so there's a lot of differences in the build, in the manufacturing processes, in the content that goes into one of those products. So a big challenge for us to really understand how we're going to go through our digital transformation in the factory. Just to give you a little bit of a broad view of Boeing research and development priorities, we are really focused on that digital transformation. You can see it in a number of our priorities. So model-based engineering of the product, then production and sustainment systems. Modular architecture and digital backbone, that's speaking to our products themselves. Advanced production system, which is a lot of what my team in materials and manufacturing technology is focused on. And sustainability and future mobility across our 3 major business units of commercial, defense and space, and global services. Within materials and manufacturing technology, we have about 700 people located in the United States. We work with 13 other global research centers around the world, and there's probably another 100 to 200 people involved in those. We have 100 folks that are part of our technical fellowship, and we have about 350 patents that get awarded on average every year. So a lot of innovation going on in the space of materials and manufacturing. And again, this is kind of a picture of our production system. You can imagine what it takes. This is the 737 production system, so 60,000 parts coming together on each one of those airplanes. And so what we want to be doing is building a digital thread that goes throughout this manufacturing process and with our product. And we want to start modeling the work that's happening in the factory. And we want to find technologies that can help that work get performed more efficiently and effectively. And so that's where our augmented reality efforts come in, and we're going to show you a little bit more detail on that. But first, just a little bit more about the digital factory. So we really want to have connectivity to enable monitoring and reporting and communication to and from various devices. We want those devices to be able to capture and create data from processes that really turns into insightful information so that we can really inform what we're going to do next. So we're using data analytics as well to take that data that we're collecting from the devices, and then we really need to have a management structure in place that really tells us how we're going to connect all of these by implementing standards throughout the factory, conforming to regulations that are out there. And for us, security, of course, is an extremely important aspect of implementation going forward as well. So what are our objectives for the digital factory? We really want to simplify and optimize operations control. So we want to make sure that the things that a mechanic needs arrive where he or she needs them at the right time so they can really focus on doing the value-added work. So we don't want to have one of those 60,000 parts holding up our assembly line. We want to make sure that we're doing what we can to really have everything work in concert. We want to enable efficient implementation of digital equipment, tools, and devices, so create an infrastructure and architecture that allows us to innovate with various different devices and allows the company and the engineers within it to in parallel, be inventing new ways to do work. So we want to be able to make that easy for people to do. We want to enable first-pass quality. So we really focus on introducing technology where it can help us stabilize our manufacturing processes, help people get it right the first time, and you'll see some really clear examples of that a little bit later on. And then also we want to enable the digital thread of data so that we can really track a particular airplane going through from design through delivery to our customers. And make sure that we're collecting the data that's needed along the way to ensure that we're building in that quality, and then also deliver a record to our customers when we deliver that airplane. So a little bit more about how we're bringing together the digital thread. It really starts with requirements for the design of both a product or the design of the production system. And then, we're using model-based designs. We're using a product data manager to kind of consolidate things together. And then, of course, a manufacturing execution system out there in the production system that delivers information where it's needed, whether it's to a tool design, to a supplier who's going to fabricate parts. And where we're going to really focus today is on model-based work instructions. So we see a really great opportunity for augmented reality to continue to enhance our ability to deliver instructions to our mechanics out there on the plane so that they can get quality built in right the first time. Here's a really great example of what that means to us. So on the left-hand side, we see a picture of the way things have been done in the past, where you see a mechanic. He's got a big stack of paper. It's got hundreds of pages in it, and he's flipping through that and looking at wiring diagrams to try to figure out where the wires need to be installed, what the requirements are for separating them from each other at a proper distance from a safety perspective, and looking at 2D drawings to try to enable that. On the right-hand side, we see how augmented reality is starting to have a huge impact in making that work a lot easier for our mechanics to do. So they're able to see physically within the airplane what it should look like. And they can start to put the wires in place and meet the requirements, understand the placement, understand where they need to be tied off, how much they need to be separated, and really move towards first pass quality. But we have some challenges in trying to implement this within the factory. So we have to solve some key issues, such as accrediting data pipelines for alternate reality or augmented reality systems, for better accuracy and alignment of the image with the physical airplane itself. We also need robust object recognition at scale for faster alignment. You can imagine we're trying to create that alignment in a very busy place and also over a very large space and area. So we really need to be more robust in recognizing where we're trying to align things. Smaller hardware, longer battery life, improved comfort. We're going to have folks working an 8-hour shift inside of an airplane, installing wiring. They need to be able to do that without feeling strain and without having to go outside the airplane every once in a while to change batteries, etc. And then finally, better integration of augmented realities into enterprise security systems. So it's really important to us that we're keeping that data protected and that it doesn't limit our ability to go ahead and use these types of equipment, and it has become a bottleneck from an infrastructure perspective for us to be able to implement more widely. So that's why we're here. That's why we're part of the conference. That's why we wanted to come and share what we're doing and hopefully learn and hopefully get some help from all of you with some of the challenges that we still have. All right, so where are we doing augmented reality within the company? This kind of shows our footprint around the world. So in the blue, you see where we're doing development work in various locations. Our team is located primarily down in Huntington Beach is where our leads for this technology are, but they're working with folks all around the globe in order to make this successful. And then the green boxes show where we actually have implementations in place across the company. So we're in manufacturing facilities in these locations around the world, actually using augmented reality to make improvements in the factory. So we have 15 implementations currently underway, and the most impactful example is going to be starting soon. We're in the process of assembling the next Air Force One airplanes, a 747 that's being modified to become part of the presidential fleet here in the United States. And we're going to be implementing 20 HoloLens devices so that 80 different electricians can start sharing them and using them to do wire installation. So just to kind of give you an idea of why that's so important, a regular 747 has about 150 miles of wiring in it. So if you think about 150 miles spread out and then twined around an airplane fuselage, it's pretty complicated. Now when we go and make that airplane into the airplane for the president's fleet, it's going to get a whole bunch of extra wiring installed. So we're going to probably multiply that by 4 or 5 times. So you have a lot of wiring that's going into that airplane that needs to be placed correctly. So we're excited for this implementation to start to see the benefits. Here are some other examples of implementation. So we have model-based instructions being delivered to show how you're going to wire and install equipment into a rack. So the installation steps are getting highlighted of what needs to be connected where. The second one is an example where we've been monitoring the data on a piece of automated equipment that's doing some drilling and recognizing when that equipment might have had a problem, and highlighting later on for the person who's going to go and inspect, go look at this location right here. The machine had a problem when it was drilling that hole, which has been a really huge help in narrowing down where we need to look to ensure quality. The next one is a picture of wire harness routing that's going to be getting implemented that I mentioned earlier. And then on the last one, we see a technician who's got this box that they're kind of placing. It looks like a box, but it's really a paint stencil. So they're getting ready to, stencil some words or numbers onto the side of that aircraft and need to locate that stencil in exactly the right place. So we're using an aid to help us make sure that we're going to install that in the exact location every time. So why do we care so much? What benefit are we getting? So in the implementations that we've done so far, we're seeing about an 85, maybe even more, 88% increase in first pass quality. So we're doing it right the first time, not making mistakes, not having to go back and fix something. And it's taking about 20% less time to get it done. So we're seeing really great benefits from a quality perspective and great benefits from the flow time perspective. We expect that that might increase as people get more confident and comfortable using the technologies, and as we see some of the challenges that we have currently today start to get solved. So we're super excited to continue to scale this across the company with more implementations. And so that, again, is why we're here. We're happy to share what we're doing. If you are able to go out to the expo tomorrow, you're going to see in our booth we actually have some wiring from a 767 airplane set up and a demonstration, so you can kind of see what it is that we're doing to help our mechanics be more efficient. And the team is here to talk about we have a technical talk about BARC, the Boeing Augmented Reality Kit, and how we're using that and making that a standard throughout the company for various implementations and applications. So Paul Davies will be giving that presentation Thursday, Thursday is 2 days from now at 9 a.m. So hopefully you can spend some time with the technical team and also get a chance to see and talk with Paul and David and Duncan, who will be there at the booth. So thank you so much for having me today. This is a little bit about what we're doing at Boeing, and I'm super happy to take some questions from you. If I can answer them. Many technical questions I might defer to the team, but happy to hear your thoughts about what we're doing.
Do we have any questions? Come on up to the mic. All righty.
Thank you very much for this presentation. It's really nice to see how you're actually using this technology and that you achieved already these great results.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, this was mainly focused on AR, but with all these models that you have, you can also train people in VR. Are you also doing that?
Yes, there definitely have been some examples throughout the company of where we're doing that, and we're also using that in our design process as well, in order to make sure that we're meeting certain requirements of, especially in the maintenance world, right? We have to be able to get a certain sized wrench into a certain location in order to validate that we can perform the work. So we're using it in applications like that.
Awesome, thanks. I'd love to talk a little bit more about this later. Thanks.
Sure, thank you.
You had said that there's 20% less time, just thinking about the efficiencies. You also said 88 or 80% first quality pass. So this is obviously key. What's the improvement in the first quality pass? Was that from 80 to 88, or was that an 8% improvement? You said 20% less time. I'm just thinking about what's the first pass improvement?
Yeah, so we're finding like fewer defects that have to be replaced or that have to be fixed.
Yeah, but my question is about the percentage increase. You're saying there's an 88% first pass.
Yeah, so 88% of the time we're able to get first pass quality 88% of the time more frequently.
Which is an improvement from where?
I'm sorry, I don't have that number with me. Yep.
Hi, yeah. You mentioned implementing model-based engineering practices and defining requirements for your design teams. You're coming from a material and manufacturing organization.
Yes.
I'm assuming you had to partner with the engineering side of the house, and I don't know if you could talk about any success or struggles with that. I come from a similar situation, a big company, and we have those kind of struggles.
Yeah, we actually represent one of the major engineering functions at the company, so we are part of the engineering team. We actually set a lot of the requirements for materials and processing. So we're actually in the process ourselves of defining, how do we turn our requirements into model-based objects that then can, become part of a digital thread. So we're actually working that ourselves. I'm happy to chat about it some more if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. As developers and engineers and enthusiasts, I think we think about the AR, VR technology in a very positive, we get excited about it. My question for you is, how have the technicians often think differently? What is their adoption like? Does it take convincing? Are they excited about it?
No, I think for the most part, folks are really excited when you can demonstrate that it's making their job easier. The things that can frustrate them are some of the challenges that, we mentioned. So the longer it takes to actually hone in on the reference points and get the projection to be located in the right place, that can be a sense of frustration. Forget it, I've done this job, for 20 years. I'm just going to keep doing it the way I was doing it. But we also have, a lot of turnover happening in the workforce. So as we have younger folks coming in and becoming technicians and mechanics in our factories, the adoption rate is going to be a little bit higher, maybe inherently because of that. But even still, for the most part, if we can prove that there's a benefit and it's making their job easier, adoption, I think, is pretty strong.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Laura, we have time for one more question.
Fantastic.
Yes, so my question's about, you gave the harness installation example.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, how do you verify the hologram's in the right place? What's your process, like the alignment piece of that? Kind of
Yeah, so I will let you hunt down and talk to our technical team for the details of how we're actually making that connection work, because I can't speak to the exact details, but we're starting with the actual engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Laura.
Thank you all very much. Thanks,
Thank
April.
you. Thank you,
bet.
Laura. Yes. It's about that time. Time for a break. I look forward to seeing you all back at 4:05. Thank you.